All right, geographers, this is our final video for Unit 1, so that should make you happy. That doesn't mean it's the end of your Unit 1 journey, but at least this part of it is, and a new one for today. So human environmental interaction. This one we're actually not going to talk about maps, so that might make you happy. If you miss maps, don't worry, we can talk about them some more later. But when we talk about human environmental interaction, it's just what the name suggests. It's humans interacting with the environment, right? And that can have lots of impacts in many different ways. When we discuss this, there's three main factors. So we have sustainability, natural resource use, and land use. We mentioned in class the United Nations and their 17 goals. Those are their sustainable development goals. So basically, like, things would be hunky dory if we could just nail these 17 things. And their goals all deal with um, things to be sustainable. So think of what you've learned about in science class, right? And to sustain something, right? It means you're satisfying things now, but it's not going to be temporary, right? There's going to be options in the future. How we use our land and our resources would be the other two factors. So let's spend a little bit more time on sustainability. These are actions that provide immediate benefit while preserving resources for future use. So it's not like you're all just doing things so that it's better in the future. You're still receiving positive benefits from the time being. It could be composting to even just recycling. And you see here, like, just an example of how it's in one of their UN goals as well. So when you think of sustainability, it's the ways things affect the environment, the economy, right? Traffic, power, emissions, recycling. It can impact so many different things, and so many different things can be involved. Next, we have natural resource use. So, natural resource use is just like what it suggests again. So, it's items produced in nature that can be used by humans. So, anything that's out there that humans can utilize for some reason, good or bad. They could be renewable, such as food crops that can be replanted. It could also be non-renewable. So if you take, from the ground fossil fuels, oil, coal, natural gas, right? There's a infinite amount that like someday you would actually run out. This is an example of Morris County of mines that were used as a natural resource. Most of these mines are not coal, but iron, big iron producing area. And finally, we have land use. And there's a whole multitude of ways that land can be used by humans, but it's any time that you change the environment surface for a specific purpose, right? If you're chopping down trees to put in a golf course, if you're knocking, you know, ones down to put in a store or a road or a highway, you're planting crops, right? You're putting in a reservoir, right? All these things. So it could be agricultural, it could be industrial or commercial, it could be for residential purposes, for transportation purposes, or recreational purposes, such as this here happening in Newark. So they're changing some of the land, which was probably already altered, right? But to put in recreational areas as well as residential areas. Here's a random fact for you. I wanted to tell you this. There were 324 mines in Morris County. 324, that's a lot. All right. Finally, we want to discuss two competing theories in the world of human environmental interaction. The first one, uh, these ideas date back to like ancient times, right? Like this is very old theory, and this is environmental determinism. So think that the environment determines how humans will behave. So maybe living near the ocean or living in a hot climate would cause you to be more relaxed because of the heat, right? Some people would even say lazy, right? And some people will get offended by that, right? Obviously, um, but you might say other places, it's this idea, right, that the physical environment is going to impact how humans behave. This, like I suggested in that example before, has been foundations for lots of biased behaviors over the past. Sort of a Eurocentric view, but also views by other cultures as well. So think of the age of colonialism, right? Colonizing a lot of areas in the tropics, let's say, or in warmer climates, and or archipelagos where the land was difficult to use compared to others. The issue with this, well, there's a few issues, but one is it discounts the role of humans in creating their own way of life. Like, well, I'm born here, so this is just how my life is going to be, right? Um, Taking out that factor of what human potential is, and what obstacles humans can overcome, and what they can do anyway. And the five twos is what often is used in environmental determinism. Well, it's too hot there, too cold there, too wet, too dry, too mountainous. So you know, these people that live in these conditions could not possibly be as successful as people from other areas. While this is discredited for many reasons, there's still some element of truth to this that gets perpetuated and included in some studies today, because you can't geography is going to affect you, right? If you have to always cross a river, cross a mountain, right? It's you can't say that it's not going to affect your life, but does it affect your potential? Is the real question. So if you look at the opposite of environmental determinism, you have environmental possibilism, where you think anything and everything is possible. So this is the more recent rebuttal to environmental determinism. Like that one seems sort of racist, sort of wrong. What could be a different theory to look at? So they don't discredit that the national environment isn't a factor. It is, but it recognizes that humans still have choices, that humans can harness technology, right? Think of the world getting flatter, and if we all have access to a lot of this technology, then anything is possible, really, regardless of the geography. So here's another example where it takes that idea of possibilism and applies it to other things, like overcoming climate change, climate change. I shouldn't do this after I work out. I'm spent. Um, so saying like, hey, like instead of looking at a theory that limits humans, let's look at one that recognizes what people can achieve. You've made it to the end of Unit 1 videos. Congratulations.